Good evening, class. College Algebra Practice Test number 2, Module 2 covering chapters 3 and 4. Here's chapter 4, Linear Functions. Again, I would like to remind everyone of the pledge. When we take the exam on our own. Assume you are taking the exam on campus. All right. Line slopes and its interpretation. We've already discussed that so quickly. What is it? So M represents the slope, change in y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, or delta y over delta x, rise over run. This is known as the average rate of change of y with respect to x. This is extremely important, and we're going to revisit this again and again in various formats. So when we look at these lines, this has a positive slope, negative slope, a horizontal line has a zero slope, a vertical line, the slope is undefined. So we have the following. For any horizontal line, y equals b is the equation, m equal to 0, y-intercept is 0, b. For any vertical line, x equals a, m is undefined, x-intercept at a 0. Standard form, ax plus by equals c, we are talking about lines. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Point slope, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Two lines are parallel if they have equal slopes, different y-intercepts, and they're perpendicular if their slopes are negative reciprocal of each other. In other words, m2 equals negative 1 over m1, or their product is negative. Find the value of x if a linear function goes through the following points and has the following slope. We have the two pairs, we have the slope, and slope is defined as rise over run, again reminding you of the formulas that was just discussed in the previous page, so I'm not going to waste time on that. We just went over that, and so we are going to go with the slope where it's rise over run. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1, so 6 minus 2 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, minus 4 minus x, and that is equal to the m, happen to be 3. Cross product. Multiply these two, multiply these two. It must be identical 3 times. Negative 4 minus x equals 1 times 6 minus 2, which is 4. And so distribute negative 12 minus 3x. Move, make it positive. You get 16, and x is negative 16 thirds. So it's very straightforward. We had done this before, just to remind you of what's happening here. We're dealing with linear functions, everybody. Therefore, the concept of a slope is important. Consider this scenario. A town has an initial population of 75,000. It grows at a constant rate of 2,500 per year. Find the linear function that models the town's population P as a function of year T, where T is the number of years since the model began. So it's very straightforward. You're looking at y equals mx plus b. M is the variable number, which happened to be 2,500 per year. It varies by that much. And it's a constant. So P of t is the population as a function of time t. The constant rate of growth, m, 2,500 per year. The initial population of 75,000, that is the fixed number, which happened to represent the b. The y-intercept, now because we're going to go with P of t, is the p-intercept. The linear function, y equals mx plus b, then it becomes p equals mt plus b because the variable is t. So 2,500 t plus 75,000. What will be the population 10 years from the beginning? Replace the T with 10. The product is 25K and 75K is 100K. 100,000 is the answer. Pretty straightforward, everybody. Monthly cost of a cellular plan depends on the number of minutes used, and a flat fee for 110 minutes costs $71.50, 720 minutes costs $118. Express the cost fee as a linear function of the monthly minutes used X. We want to pay attention to the variables they want us to use. So the very first thing is that we write the pair minutes and cost X comma C. This is the way they want us to write it. So that's one pair and that's another one. So we have 410 minutes, 71.50, 720 minutes, 180. And so the first thing is to find the slope, rise over run, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. But instead of y, we have c. So if it helps, you can even write x comma y, calculate the slope, and then at the end, wherever you see y, change it to c in any event. Having said that, we have c sub 2 minus c sub 1. That means 118 minus 71.50 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. That means 720 minus 410. So the numerator is 46.5. The denominator is 310, and it gives you 3 over 20 or 0.15. And both of them are exact numbers. So you can go with either one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So y minus y1 becomes y minus c1, okay, equals m times x minus x sub 1. So therefore, y minus, now you pick one of those pairs, for example, this one, because this one has a decimal. Let's ignore that. So y minus 118 becomes c minus 118, c minus 118 equals m, either 3 over 20 or 0.15 times x minus 720. Distribute, and we get c minus 118 is 3 over 20x minus the product of these two is 108. Move the negative and make it positive 118 on the other side. So we get c equals 3 over 20x plus 10, or you can say 0.15. And that's the equation. Now, what is the cost using 687 minutes? We're going to replace the x with 687. Doing the math, the result is 113.05. $113.05. Interpret the slope and the c-intercept. By the way, the y-intercept, now we call it the c-intercept. Let me erase my work first. So we are looking at the m and the c-intercept. So when we look at this one, the c-intercept is the 10. That's a fixed monthly cost. That's a flat fee, meaning we're going to pay that no matter what. And the variable is 3 over 20. Let's go with 0.15 because 3 over $20 or $0.15 or 15 cents, that would be the charge per minute. So the c-intercept represents the fixed monthly cost, flat fee charged by company, which is $10. The slope represents the change in cost per minute of call for the amount of $0.15 per minute or 15 cents per minute. The height in inches of a sunflower X weeks after being planted can be approximated by this function. Include proper units. They don't have to mention that. Always uh, write proper units when you're dealing with the application. So how tall is the sunflower 8 weeks after planting? Simply put, replace the X with 8. So you want f of 8. So 6 times 8 is 48. 8 squared is 64. 1/4 of it is 16. So 48 minus 16 is 32 inches. Find the average rate of growth from the end of week 6 to end of week 12. Simply put, rise over run. Okay, f of b minus f of a over b minus a, or f of x up 2 minus f of x up 1 over x up 2 minus x up 1. So we have to go with f of 12 minus f of 6 over 12 minus 6. So using this formula, put 12, 6 times 12 minus 1/4 x squared, and then put number 6. The denominator is just 12 minus 6, which is 6. So 6 times 12 is 72. 12 squared is 144. 1/4 of it is 36. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 squared is 36. 1/4 of it is 9. So we get this. 72 minus 36 for the first one, and the bracket is 36 minus 9. So if I apply the negative, I get minus 36 plus 9, and I get plus 9 over 6, which is 3/2. Now, units of y over units of x. So 3/2 of an inch per week. Okay. Y represents the height, x represents the time in weeks. We call a question from module 1. A fitness club charges $20 as a monthly access fee and $2 per day of use. Express the monthly cost in terms of daily usage. So first you have to figure out a variable representing the number of days. Therefore, go with anything you want, n, x, you name it. But you have to define that. Therefore, c of x is 2x plus 20. What will the monthly cost be if the club is used 15 days? So simply put, replace the x with 15, 2 times that, 30 and 20, they add up to $50. The monthly cost when 15 days in a month are used. A city's population in the year x equals 1998 was y equals 3,231,800. In 1963, the population was 3,216,050. Compute the slope of a population, growth or decline, and choose the most accurate statement from the following. By the way, basically they are asking for calculating the slope. The slope can be positive or negative. So first, let's go with the pair. Okay, the pair is obviously x comma y. Okay, so if it's x comma y, 1998, 3,231,800. 1963, 3,216,050. By the way, sometimes when they come across that, the first year that they receive, they take it to be 0. If you want to take it to be 0, then 1963 becomes 1963 if 1963 is 0, then 1998 minus 1963 would be the second one. But it doesn't matter. In any event, it works out that way. So the slope is rise over run, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So in this case, okay, we are going to say 200. So, okay, so let me just fix this number. I put it wrong. Yeah, I have it. That's right. Okay, so the change, okay, so from 1963 to 1998. So this number minus this number is the numerator. 1998 minus 1963 is the denominator. The numerator becomes 15,750 over 35 is 450. Because it's positive, it is increasing. If it's negative, it's decreasing. So we say the population is increasing at the rate of 450 people per year. However, if it were negative, we would say the population is decreasing and we won't change this to a negative. Increasing means positive, decreasing means negative. That's the way we would have it. I can't emphasize this enough, so we're going to keep it in the same format. Find the absolute max and absolute mean if they exist. First, by looking at the graph, I want you to recognize this one. This is a local max. This is a local mean. This is also an absolute max. And this endpoint is an absolute mean because no other point has a smaller y coordinate. This is absolutely nothing. This is nothing. It's an endpoint and it's nothing. So absolute max takes place at this point. So it's equal to the y coordinate, which is 6 at the pair 3, 6. Absolute mean is here. That means it's equal to the y coordinate 1 at 0, 1. What about this graph? Okay. Remember, the endpoints can be absolute. So this, there is no other point having a larger y coordinate. So this is the location of absolute max. So absolute max equals to the y coordinate, 3. At, you can say x equals 5 or at the pair 5, 3. It depends on how they ask you. Absolute minimum could have been this point, but except this is a hole, so it's not part of the graph. Therefore, there is no absolute minimum. Again, why is that? Because this point is not defined for, it's not, doesn't belong to the graph. Okay, there's a hole there. That's important to understand. What about here? This endpoint is nothing. This endpoint is the location of absolute max because no other point has a larger y coordinate. Therefore, absolute max is equal to the y coordinate 4 at x equals 5 or at 5, 4. It depends on how they want you to say. Now, the absolute mean, I hope you recognize this as a line segment which is horizontal. So from here to here, everything is the same. So absolute minimum is equal to the y coordinate, which is 1, from here to here, from the interval of 1 to 2. So we write absolute minimum is equal to 1 on the interval of x equals 1 to x equals 2. That's how you do the writing, everybody. That's important to do it properly.